You came back. We knew you would. Welcome to Fear Consortium, Season 3. What began as a whisper has grown into something we can no longer control, and neither can you. This season, we go deeper than we've ever dared, past the shadows you've learned to live with, into the ones you've tried to forget. Before we descend, subscribe. Turn on every notification, because this season, missing an episode isn't just a choice. It could be a mistake. So settle in, turn down those lights, and remember, whatever follows you out of this place tonight, you invited it in. This is Fear Consortium. Let's begin. If you hear weeping near the water tonight, do not go toward it. Whatever you do, do not go toward it. There are legends that entertain, there are legends that warn, and then there are legends that have been whispering the same terrible truth for 500 years, passed from grandmother to grandchild, from one generation to the next, across borders and oceans and centuries, because the truth inside them is too dangerous to let die. La Llorona is not a campfire story. She is not something invented to sell movie tickets or fill Halloween playlists. She is older than that, far older. And in the cultures where she lives, where she has always lived, she is not spoken of lightly. She is spoken of in hushed voices, near closed windows, with one ear always tilted toward the sound of running water. Because that is where she is. Always near the water. Always weeping. Always searching. Tonight we follow her to the river's edge. We learn who she was, what she did, what she became, and why. After 5 centuries, mothers in Mexico, in Texas, in California, in Utah, in every place where her story has taken root, still pull their children inside when the sun goes down. Still listen for the sound no one wants to hear. Ah, mijillos. Oh, my children. The story at its core is this. There was a woman named Maria. She was beautiful, devastatingly so, the kind of beauty that turns heads and stops conversations and makes people forget, briefly, whatever they were doing before she walked into the room. And she knew it. She carried it the way some people carry a weapon, deliberately, with awareness of its power. Maria caught the attention of a wealthy man, a man of status, of land, of everything she had grown up without. He was charmed by her, he married her, and for a time, for a brief, luminous time, the life she had always wanted was hers. They had 2 children, sons, and Maria loved them with the fierce, consuming love that sometimes lives alongside great vanity. The love of a woman who sees herself in her children, who pours everything she cannot say into the small, perfect faces looking back at her. But wealth has its own gravity, and powerful men have their own wandering eyes. Her husband grew distant, then absent, and then one day he returned. Not for her, not for the family they had built, but for the children. He arrived with another woman on his arm, a woman of higher standing, a woman more suitable to the life he now wanted to lead. He told Maria she was being replaced. He told her he would take the children. And something inside Maria, something that had been quietly fractioning for years beneath the weight of neglect and humiliation, broke, completely open. What happened next has been told 1,000 different ways. In some version, it is rage, pure, obliterating rage, the kind that erases the person feeling it for a few terrible seconds. In others, it is grief so profound it becomes indistinguishable from madness. In all versions, Maria takes her children to the river, and she holds them under. The details shift depending on who tells the story and where. Some say she did it so her husband could not have them. Some say she did it to punish him, and to take from him the only thing he still valued. Some say she simply lost her mind so completely in those moments that she did not fully understand what she was doing until the water was still and the small hands had stopped moving. And then the silence came, and with it, clarity. And with clarity, the full, crushing weight of what she had done. Some versions say she walked into the river herself and let it take her. Others say she wandered the bank until grief consumed her entirely, and her body simply gave out. But in every version, her spirit did not rest, could not rest, because she had arrived at the gates of whatever comes after, and she has turned away, sent back, told she could not enter without the children she had killed. And so she wanders, eternally, endlessly, along every riverbank, beside every lake, at the edge of every body of water, where reflection might show her what she lost. Dressed in white, sometimes a wedding gown, sometimes a burial dress, sometimes something that was once white is now gray with river water and centuries of grief. Her dark hair loose and tangled, her face, when anyone is brave enough or foolish enough to look at it, described as hollow, sunken, the face of someone who has been crying for 500 years without stopping. Ah, my hijos! Oh, my children. The wail carries across the water like something alive, like something that wants to be heard. Witnesses describe it as unlike anything in nature. Not quite human. Not quite animal. A sound that reaches into the chest and grabs something fundamental. Something primal. Something that makes every instinct in your body scream, run! But here's where the legend turns from tragedy into terror, because La Llorona does not simply mourn. She searches. And when she finds children near the water, alone, in the dark, where they should not be, she takes them. Whether she mistakes them for her own sons in her grief-maddened state, or whether she is deliberately collecting replacements for what she lost, depends again on who is telling the story. The outcome, in all versions, is the same. The children do not come back. This is why for generations across Mexico and the American Southwest, parents have used her name as the most effective warning they possess. Don't go near the river after dark. Don't wander outside when the sun goes down. Don't go where you aren't supposed to go, because La Llorona is out there, and she is always looking, and she cannot tell the difference between her children and yours. It is easy to dismiss this as a scare tactic, confident ghost story weaponized by parents who want obedient children. But consider what the warning is actually protecting against. Rivers, lakes, dark water at night, the genuine documented statistically real danger of children drowning. Particularly in communities built along rivers, in places where the water is close and the night comes first. La Llorona, whatever she is or was, has almost certainly saved lives, has kept children on the bank when the water was high, has given a name and a face to the nameless danger that dark water represents. Fear, when it is the right kind of fear, keeps you alive. To understand where La Llorona truly comes from, you have to go back further than colonial Mexico. Much further. Historians and anthropologists who study Mesoamerican mythology have traced the roots of the weeping woman to Chuacotl, a goddess in the Aztec pantheon whose name translates roughly to serpent woman or woman of the snake. She was a deity of childbirth, of motherhood, and of the earth, but not in the soft, nurturing sense. In the Aztec understanding, these forces were terrifying, as often as they were comforting. Childbirth killed as many women as it delivered. The earth swallowed the dead as readily as it fed the living. It was said to appear in the night, weeping, wailing. She was associated with women who died in children, who were themselves considered a kind of warrior in Aztec cosmology, as honored as soldiers who died in battle, and she was said to leave an empty cradle in the marketplace, which, when discovered and opened, was found to contain not a child, but an obsidian blade, a weapon where a baby should have been. When the Spanish came and the conquest began, the old gods did not disappear. They transformed. They slipped into the stories the survivors told each other. They merged with Christian imagery, the white dress, the eternal damnation, the wandering soul denied entrance to heaven. The entity became Maria. The goddess became a ghost. The myth became a legend. But the wail remained the same. The sightings, because yes, there are sightings, span centuries and borders. In communities along the Rio Grande, residents have reported hearing the sound of a woman weeping near the water late at night, only to find no one there when they investigate. Some have reported seeing a white figure moving along the opposite bank, too tall, too thin, moving in a way that doesn't quite match the terrain beneath its feet. In San Antonio, Texas, there is a bridge, the old Donkey Lady Bridge, some call it, though locals blend their legends there, where witnesses have reported a woman in white standing at the railing, staring into the water below. When approached, she vanishes. In New Mexico, a man reported pulling over in a rural road late at night because he heard what he described as the most agonizing sound he had ever heard. A woman, he was certain, in absolute grief. He got out of his car. He called out. The sound stopped. And in the beam of his headlights at the edge of the drainage ditch, he saw wet footprints in the dirt that led to the water's edge and stopped. No footprints were coming back. In Utah, yes, Utah, communities with significant Latino populations have carried the legend for generations. Parents tell their children not to play near the Jordan River after dark, not because of safety regulations or liability, because of La Llorona. Because she travels wherever there is grief and water and children who wander too far from home. In 2019, she arrived on screen, though not for the first time. The Curse of La Llorona, directed by Michael Chafes and produced under the Conjuring universe, the same horror franchise that brought audiences The Conjuring, Annabelle, and The Nun, transplanted the legend to 1970s Los Angeles. The film follows Anna Garcia, a social worker and widow, played by Linda Cardellini, who becomes entrangled with the spirit after investigating a case involving two children whose name has been trying desperately to keep them locked inside. Away from the water, away from the weeping woman she can hear outside every night. Anna dismisses the warnings. The children come into her care, and La Llorona comes with them. What the film captures more effectively than its critics acknowledged is the specific texture of the legend as it actually lives in Latino communities. The way it sits alongside faith rather than opposing it. The way it is treated not as a ghost story but as a fact of the world, something to be respected and feared, the way you respect and fear a flooded river. The film brings in Raymond Cruz, a traditional folk healer who approaches the supernatural not with disbelief but with the matter-of-fact gravity of someone who has always known these things exist. La Llorona herself is rendered as genuinely, deeply unsettling, not a jump-scare monster but a presence, a grief made visible, a mother's worst impulse given immortal, terrible form. The film was not without flaws, but the legend it carried to mainstream audiences was real, has always been real. And somewhere a new generation of children heard her name for the first time, and were told not to go near the water after dark. This is what makes La Llorona different than most of the legends we will visit this season. She is not a creature of ambiguity. She is not a mystery waiting to be solved. She is not a shape in the dark that might be a bird or might be something else. She is a story about what grief does to a person, about what loss and rage and humiliation can carve out of someone who was, once, simply a woman, a mother, a human being trying to hold on to something she loved. The horror of La Llorona is not that she is a monster. It is that she wasn't always one. She became one, step by step, choice by choice, in a moment that lasted only seconds and has lasted 500 years. And the wail, ah, mios, is not the sound of evil. It is the sound of something that cannot stop grieving, something trapped at that moment of its worst act, forever. Unable to move forward, unable to undo what was done, just the river and the dark, and the searching that never ends and never finds what it's looking for. That is the origin of this legend, and that, more than any monster, is the thing worth being afraid of. So tonight, when you go home, when the house gets quiet and the children are asleep, and the only sound is the ordinary hum of the world outside, listen. Not for something loud, for something soft. A sound just beneath the wind, just beneath the noise of the street and the hum of the lights and all the comfortable machinery of your ordinary life. If you hear weeping, don't go forward. Don't go toward it, whatever you do. And so it ends for now. You've survived another descent into the dark, but survival, as you've learned, comes with a cost. The things you heard tonight don't stay here. They'll travel with you, through all the hallways into the quiet rooms, behind the eyes that close but never quite rest. This is what Season 3 does. It doesn't just scare you, it stays. If you felt it, subscribe. Share it with someone brave enough to listen. Leave a review, a comment, because your words carry this darkness further than you know. And turn on those notifications, because the next episode is already waiting, already breathing, and we'll be here when you return. We're always here. This has been Fear Consortium, Season 3, where the fear doesn't fade, it evolves. Sleep well. We'll be watching.